Hi everybody. I wanted to do some chart readings and actually show you how I go through the activation sequence and also how it affects or influences the sphere of attraction and the core wound or the vocation. And this is something that I feel is like the first step that we do every time we look at a hologenetic profile. We'll go in and we look at these 4 gene keys in our activation sequence and we see how they affect those 2 other spheres, first in the low frequency and then we see it in the high frequency. And just by that, if you are new to the gene keys or if you actually want to start working with the gene keys, this is what you can walk people through because it's so powerful and it's what we are going to spend 4 months on with Richard in the deep dive of the activation sequence. We're not even going to go into the attraction and the vocation. I really love to thread it together with these 2 spheres because you kind of see the dynamics of a whole life and how that might look in the low frequency and the high frequency. So I'm going to take an example from our Facebook group, and also know that you can post your own charts there. And then I can do these small readings. So what I was speaking about is that I look at life's work, evolution, radiance, and purpose. And I see how they influence the sphere of attraction and the core or the vocation, depending on, it's the same thing. It depends, the core is the shadow frequency and the vocation is the higher frequencies. So the first thing I look at is what is the profile? And the profile is what comes after the dot on both sides. So here we have a 2 on the personality side, on the conscious side, and we have a 4 on the unconscious side. The 2 is the dancer. In the house of the I Ching is the person who is on the first floor that has a lot of inherent talents and that like to go about these talents, and it doesn't really always want to be called out and have to show what it's doing. It actually wants to choose who are the right dance partners. So even if it knocks on the door, it might not be the right dance partner. The 2 is going to feel when it's the right relationship and when they want to dance. And something very important is flow, and also feeling that passion in everything you do and with the people you do it with. And the 4th line is about the heart, and it's about friendships, and it's about trust, and it's about living with an open heart and feeling other people through that heart. And it's also about breath in the embodied principle. So knowing that, we know that this person is here to be a dancer, but is also have very close friendships and connection, and that is grounded in their breath. Now we're going to do the nightmare story. So this is the profile in the very low frequency. And this is the old version. So you will see that there are 3 colors in the spectrum of consciousness. The red one is the shadow. The red one everywhere is the shadow. That's the contracted version. That's when we have fear and contraction. Then we have the green one, which is the gift, and that's where we have more openness, more expansion, more heart in that frequency. And then we have the blue one, which is like the glimpses of higher states that we might have. So when we do it in the nightmare version, we see this person is here to be a dancer and that is grounded in his breath and in his beautiful friendships. Well, in the nightmare version, he's not going to be able to be a dancer because his flow is going to be cut off. And he's probably going to have his biggest challenges in relationships because this is the 2nd line of passion and relationships. And the 2nd line, it's often in the challenge of disappointment, because in relationships it's not going to happen what you would like to happen, and you're going to have the reason to be disappointed. So what we say and this is the one-liner that I've been talking about many times. We have one of these for all of the evolution spheres, and you can go to my mini course on the activation sequence, the life's work and the evolution, and you will have that slide in there. I will post it as well on the bottom of the video. So the one-liner for the 2nd line is break out of disappointment by fulfilling yourself first. So it's to take away this possibility for codependence, where actually you fulfill yourself first, and then once you want to dance with somebody, you dance from that place of being fulfilled and being in flow first. However, the 2nd line is going to be caught in that challenge of disappointment, And what's going to happen in relationships are a lot of reactions, a lot of emotional turmoil, probably a lot of intolerance, like wanting to change something, wanting somebody to be the way that you want them to be, or the other way around, having other people wanting you to change so that you cannot be in flow. And on this side, everything is going to like feel very complex, and you might even want to stop listening to what's around you, because it just feels like it's complex. It just feels like you can't trust, you can't really have an open heart, you don't really feel like your chest is open, you can breathe life, and you don't really know how to find a solution in your life or in your relationships. And then that is affecting the sphere of attraction, which makes you feel again that there's no flow in your relationships. They are actually exhausting. Whatever you attract in a relationship, it seems to kind of be maybe the same exhausting story, or at least is draining you. And I was also looking at your human design profile, and you're a projector, I think, and you have a lot of open centers on the bottom. So even having that, not having your own energy being regenerated, and on top of that, all your relationships are draining you. And then that leads up to the core, where we see that you have that core wound of isolation and care, so that you will feel like you're basically on the wrong planet, because there's so much disappointment, there's so many reasons for like not for saying this can't be the right place, and your life becomes really serious. And even you can feel like even your body can like kind of be stiff, you can't breathe, you feel stiff, you don't feel it's fun to be here in this kind of makeup as a human being. That is the core wound of isolation, and you're not able to actually live every moment and say yes to every moment. And then that fuels the reactions in relationships, the disappointment, the intolerance, the feeling like it's too complex, you're not going to be able to find a solution, the exhaustion, and that goes round and round and round. So this is up to us. We can live our activation sequence like that, and kind of fuel into the shadow. What we want to do is to come back to this challenge, like I was saying. We want to break out of disappointment by fulfilling ourselves first. So especially with you having all these open centers, actually, let me see if I can share your here. I want to show them. So here we see all these open centers on in the bottom. So you want to ground first. You want to fulfill yourself first. You want to make sure that you're not just going round and round in your head as well, thinking about things that don't matter. But you really want to make sure that you are taking care of, like, where you are, who you are, where you're going, what love is. You have this kind of initiative for new things, and you also have this possibility of expression, of being a genius. But if you're with the wrong people, or if you're in a relationship where there's a lot of intolerance, they might say you're a freak. So you really want to actually ground and be true to yourself first, so that you can actually start to be in a higher frequency and attract things that are more true to who you are. So you fulfill yourself first, you get back your flow. Suddenly there is like, when you're in flow in your relationships, they're going to be much more understanding. There are going to be many new possibilities, because this is the gene key revolution. The mutation is happening in the channel 4919. So you are here to be able to create completely new things through relationships, especially when you come already from a place where you're grounded and where you're taking care of your own needs first. And then by that happening, when this understanding opens up and the new possibilities, you are going to have a lot of insights through your friendships. You're going to have epiphanies, like aha moments, by who are the people that are in your life that are nurturing you, your friendships. And suddenly it's like everything becomes kind of spontaneous and kind of simple, and you're grounded in that simplicity, in that breath. Like everything is easy. It's easy to breathe. Like the air is really oxygenating. How do you say that? I don't even know the intonation of that word. And then you have reclaimed your flow. So in relationships, there's going to be flow, there's going to be passion, there's going to be solutions. You see, resolve, there's going to be a lot of solutions. Everything you draw to you actually gives you more passion, more flow, and more solutions. And suddenly then you're propelled up to your core, that is going to shift from being that shadow to become that gift, you could say, or become that fuel for your life's work. So instead of feeling you're not in the right place, suddenly with all these things happening, you feel like you're in the right place, and you become a role model for what it is to be here in physical form, and enjoy being here in physical form, and saying yes to the experience. It doesn't really matter what's going to happen after that experience, but as long as you're in it, it's a full yes. It's a full wholehearted yes to life. and you're actually starting to care again about yourself and care even about humanity, because you're living on such a high frequency where you're so happy to have this opportunity to be here as a human being in this form right now. And once you are there, that is fueling this dancer that actually creating completely new things for relationships, and the new understanding and the flow and the friendships and the simplicity and the flow, and it goes round and round and round in that thing, you know. So this is the way that I love to look at the activation sequence, because it's really telling us these like key dynamics that we can get kind of in a loop in our lives, and then all the shadow frequencies are going to fuel each other the same way as all the gift frequencies are fueling each other. So, and then usually my readings, I go into everything's in the middle. But here we just like kind of, you know, want to stop with this and have you just feel the power of the activation sequence, which is already so much power, especially when we see what does it do in relationship, what does it do with our either, you know, the core wound that becomes more winded up, or opens up to the vocation and becomes the fuel in this pathway of service, like serving our life's work through this energy that we're opening up. And then of course the beautiful thing is that we can go in and look at the IQ, the EQ, and the SQ, which is the trinity of embodiment. So here we reclaim the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, and the mental, so that they can be balanced. And again, we see here that the passion and freedom is always the key for you. The inner child needs that. It needs that flow. So that's something that you want to parent yourself to if you didn't have it as a child, for example. And then the outer, once we unlock the vocation, it's going to fill over. You see that there are little arrows both to the culture, to the life's work, to the pearl. So this is just going to fuel your essence, you know. And again, you're here to be recognized, you're here to be valued, you're a projector, so you're really here for other people to see that you're a diamond and what you can contribute with. And that's how you walk in integrity, and then you're going to be recognized. And then you have the 46 again. So it's not only that this is what fuels your life works, it's actually on an everyday basis who we see you as. We see you as that person who has a lot of life, joy of life. And that is also, as a projector, I guess as well, you're really good one-to-one. You're really powerful to tap into one person's aura. So that's also something to think about here in relationships. One-to-one is something that's really powerful for you with all these second lines. So that became a little bit more, I can't help it when I look at the chart. And you know, Stephen, let us know how this feels. And I would love to do more of these, just so that you get the flow of how to read the activation sequence and what it does in your life. Thank you.